Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Brick Tier. With me is Professor Godt, who you remember from our last episode.
It is wonderful to be here, Your Majesty.
Oh, we got some lovely fans in here already.
Shall I go over today's topic?
That would be great. Let me get the poll up so we can see. Let's see. Share tab.
So how are you doing today, chat? Okay, I guess I'm in charge. So until John shows up, I will go over today's topic. Today we are reviewing the Pirates figures up through the 90s, the Golden Age. Oh, there you are.
Apologies for that, guys. My Wi-Fi decided to cut out right as we started, but I'm back now. Let's take a look at the tier chart. Here we are.
An individual named Saturdays Sundays asked how we are, and I believe I speak for both of us when I say we are doing exceptional today.
I think I agree, definitely.
So today we are reviewing the Golden Age of Pirates, which was through the 90s. The Lego Pirates theme was introduced in 1989 and had several different waves. The first wave introduced us to the French soldiers, and after that came the British soldiers, the Redcoats, and finally the green Conquistadors. There are also various different versions of the pirates who come in all sorts of different uniforms. There's different captains and even some islanders.
Definitely. And classic pirates is one of the most beloved themes. Even like today, people are still looking for more pirate themes. It's one of the classic themes that LEGO never seems to abandon entirely. They always go back to it.
Shall we begin with the first figure?
I believe so. Do we want to post the polls people can vote, or do we want to wait till we go over the figures first?
Go ahead and post the poll. That way they can go ahead and get their input and we can update as we go.
Awesome. Could you just send me a link to that quick and I'll get it posted?
I already sent it.
In the Discord, or let me check. There we go. I got it.
Yes.
So everyone, just saying, we're gonna do it a little different than last time this week. We're gonna have you vote on all the figures at once. So you're gonna rate each one as the chart shows you here, from F all the way up to S plus. S plus obviously the best. So let me drop a link in the chat, and everyone cast their votes on the figures. And as you do so, we're gonna go over each one. Who's the first one we have to look at?
Today we are starting with Captain Redbeard himself. This is the most iconic figure in any of the LEGO Pirates lines. He has a distinctive red beard.
That's him in the first spot.
You can swap to my screen.
Okay. Do you have your screen up?
Yes.
There we go.
Yes, this is one of the most, if not the single most iconic figure from LEGO Pirates. Oh, my goggles are exceptional. Thank you. They're fully functional, and they have a little magnifying glass, so I can inspect models from closer up, and I can perform my various astute observations. As I was saying, we have some new pauldron elements that were introduced here in brown. We have a distinct belt, a sash that goes over the chest, and some very distinct colors. This was one of the first figures to ever introduce green, and the very first pieces to have a printed headpiece with the Jolly Roger on the headpiece.
Were these the first ones to have a hook hand or a peg leg, or the older figures?
Yes, they were.
Yes, we don't see a lot of variations in the leg pieces as far as like the shape for minifigures. Even today, we see different colors, obviously, in printed ones, but to have an actual different shape like that is pretty rare.
Yes, we've seen the same peg legs and the same pirate hook for over 3 decades now.
Everyone, once again, if you haven't seen the link yet, that's the link you got to go to cast your votes for everyone to be ranked. We're going over the first figure now.
Now, given the distinctness of this character, this character is both simple and eye-catching with his colors. He has brown and green. It's very earth tone. That's very unusual for a Lego minifigure at this time. So I think we have to give this character S, if not S plus, just for how iconic he is.
I think I'm in agreement. I think if you had to pick one Pirates figure to be the mascot of the theme, especially classic Pirates, this would be the one you would choose. The captain himself.
Now, let's swap over to see what the audience thinks.
Let's see the results.
So far, we have 3S plus and 1A.
3S plus, 1A. So we're leading towards an S plus or shipped down to an S? I'm saying S plus is what the audience believes.
I concur.
Awesome.
Let's give one more moment to see if anyone else has filled in. No. So let us move that over to S plus.
Guys, anytime during the show, you can edit your answers and update on there if you choose. So S plus, our first S plus, starting off strong. Our second figure is the Admiral, I believe.
The next figure is, one moment. Next figure is a character, one moment. The next character is a figure named Black Jack Hawkins. He has a very distinct tricorn hat, a dark gray beard, a very nice blue coat, and a brown vest, a black belt. And personally, I love the contrast between the blue and the tan on the shirt piece. This is a very nice decorative piece. It looks very full, and it looks perfectly at home in a port town.
I agree. This could either be, you can see it in a pirate crew, you can see it as a normal sailor, and just dressed for the period in any port town. The face itself is not a very original one, because I've seen that, I believe, in the Old West sets as well, and probably some other ones. But it definitely works.
This one has appeared in various other sets afterwards, but this is one of the very first appearances of the beard, especially in dark gray. The pirates were the first theme to actually innovate with facial hair of any kind. So,
okay, so it predated even the Western one.
Yes, and I believe that this is one of the most distinct. The facial hair was designed specifically for this figure, and I believe it works really well against the colors. So I believe this is at least a solid A.
Seems like a fair assessment. It almost reminds you of Mr. Gibbs from Pirates of the Caribbean, just like the classic Sarah look. So should we take a look at what people are saying for the votes?
Very well.
Everyone, once again, feel free to update your votes at any time if the professor is able to sway your opinion. Yep.
Okay,
there we go.
We're filling in. We have 5S plus, 1A, 4B. I believe that would average out to an A. Let's scroll up to see what everyone's weighing in on Captain Redbeard.
Captain Redbeard still staying strong?
Yes, S plus, an S, and an A. Nothing below an A, which is respectable.
Great.
I believe we should go ahead and move Captain Jack Hawkins, Black Jack Hawkins to S.
Did it change?
We have 6 for S plus, 4 for B, and 1 for A. I believe that would average out to high A, low S.
High A, low S.
I believe we have to do an S.
S? Okay, we'll go with S. So here's where we're standing after the first two. Very neat. And now our next one would be
this character's name is Will. He is actually a boy in the story. He doesn't have any of the facial hair as most of the other characters do. So he appeared in a comic book, the Golden Doubloon, which was very popular in Europe when the series first launched and helped make Pirates the marketable brand that it is today. So he has a very simple look. He's meant to sort of be a surrogate for the people who would be playing with him, for the kids who would to explore the different world, the different islands, the different ships, and get in all sorts of trouble.
Like a fair assessment. Yeah, I never thought of it being like a surrogate for the player, with the basic face there. But yeah, it just seems like a very classic figure, just a standard crewman. Not a lot in the way of face features, a generic smiley, but that's not necessarily a bad thing at all.
Yes, I believe for this character sort of represents the simplicity and just the joy of Lego Pirates. And while it is not nearly the most iconic figure, I believe it defines what Pirates is in many respects. So I believe we'd have to give this an A, at least.
It sounds fair to me. Let's see what the audience is saying.
Very well.
Brick Danger named him Bob.
Bob? Oh, that Bob. Yes, I'm familiar with that Bob. Now we have 5 for S+. This is very strange. We have a lot of disagreement here. We have 1A, 1B, 1C, two C's, and 1D.
And what's the bottom half there? That's all.
It's the S+.
S+.
I believe we'd have to, given how low some of these are, we'd have to average it out to an A.
A sounds about fair. So let's get him moved over to the A slot.
Very well.
And here we go. S+, S, and A. One neat so far, going right down the list. And who do we have to look at next?
One moment. There we are.
Ooh, next we have one of my personal favorites.
This is King Kakuka from the Lego Islanders. This is the first Lego minifigure to introduce face paint. As we see, we have a classic smiley head, but we also have a blue trim around the edge, some yellow cheeks, and white face paint. I believe this is a very strong figure. The headpiece is very ornate. One of the first pieces to have a additional little plant on top. And what do you believe? I'm a little conflicted on this character. You said this is one of your favorites.
I just think he's like one of the most unique, especially as like the leader of like an interesting faction, the Islanders. He also has representation the fact that he's appeared in Lego Racers, and I believe maybe one other game. I'm trying to remember. He might be in 2 different Lego Racers games. I'm not positive. I remember seeing him at least one other thing. I think he's in both games. He's like a boss in Lego Racers, I think, and Lego Racers 2. He's like a NPC you can like talk to. The face paint is definitely very neat.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The Islanders clearly are not as iconic as the other figures in this series, like the Imperials or, of course, King Redbeard.
Definitely a minor faction, yeah.
However, for what it is, this is a very unique headpiece, and one of the first molds to ever give us such a complex headpiece. So for those merits alone, I believe we should give this at least a B. Between an A and a B is what I'd recommend.
Between an A and a B? That sounds fair. And Brick Danger's never name. He's going to call this one Johnny.
Johnny? King Johnny Kakuka?
That's got to be it. He's once
I wonder if you're
English
related.
man.
I wonder if you're related.
It could be. I'm related to all Johns in some way. Look how happy he is. You said that about every figure, Brick Danger. Look how happy he is.
It's very true. This was a very happy time. It was the golden age of Lego.
So it
So
was a happier
everyone
time for
still
Lego.
had figures. This was before everyone's faces was distorted in the Western sets.
So what do we have for poll results so far?
Let's see. King Kakuka. We have an overwhelming S+.
People love them. Wow.
We have one S and one B.
I don't
Now,
think that B is enough to lower them very much.
no, I'm astonished. I'm giving my expert scientific opinion. However, given the consensus here, the overwhelming consensus, I don't feel like I can justify giving this an S+, but I believe I can compromise and give this an S.
They're a man of democracy. So let's move them up to the S. Get our second S. Now, do we want
You
to put
win this time, chat, but I will not give in to mob rule. Is that understood?
Understand, chat?
You, as a monarch, King John Brick, can appreciate my perspective on this. You need
Definitely.
authoritative expert sources. Otherwise, anyone can make their own opinion, no matter how wrong it is, and that is unacceptable.
Yes, you must free the poll from the pollution of the mob decision, the public mob. You have to tell them what's good for them. The only other question is, should it be our highest S or our lower S?
I believe, in the interest of democracy, we'll make it a high S.
High S. He definitely got a higher one, if I recall. There we go.
Very well. Next, we have our first Imperial. Now, this is the first Imperial leader that we see. This is Governor Broadside. So he has blue, which indicates that he's part of the French. He has very Napoleonic style to him. He has a very uniquely printed headpiece, a white pirate hat, and it has a black printing all around it, which is very unusual.
Also, the compliment fact. Sorry, go ahead first.
They didn't have gold elements at this time, so they used gold printing and yellow epaulets and yellow feather to give that golden aesthetic, which matches the face print. I don't believe this is as strong as the Captain Redbeard, because I feel like the facial features are lost in all the black.
I'd agree with that assessment. I also think it's interesting. Is that the same hat piece as the normal pirate captain piece, except turned to the side?
It is turned to the side and recolored, yes.
Recolored. That's interesting how they managed to reuse the same hat and turn to something else just by turning it.
Yes, it has a very unique style. It's very forward-facing, very intimidating, but not quite as intimidating, I'd say, as the Redcoats we see later on.
And what was your decision again where you thought this should fall?
My assessment is that this is between an A and an S.
A and an S? That sounds fair to me. And here one more time, guys, if you want to change your answer on that, here's the form.
I especially like just the texture of this coat, the blue and the gold. It wraps around the body. The figure needs more unique. Goldfield says this figure needs more unique style. I have to agree. This is probably just an A.
He also looks happy. Let's take a look at the results.
Governor Broadside is an S+.
What are the other numbers, though? Can't run that out.
We have 3 A's, 1 C, 3 D's, and 1 F.
Oh, those D's and the F's got to count for something, even though it's not as big a share.
Indeed, that allows me to get away with my ruling of an A.
A sounds fair to me for sure. So let's get him up there in the A slot. Here's our governor. And Governor Broadside, do we put him ahead of the standard pirate here or behind, you thinking?
I'd personally put him behind. However, I'm willing to throw Chad a bone and say ahead.
Yeah, it's a tough call. He definitely outranks the normal little pirate as far as ranking in their respective factions, but just the classic little pirate.
Still, we see the pirates outwit Governor Broadside at many times throughout the comics. We see the pirates, especially Will, outwit the pirates at many turns throughout the comic and the audio dramas. So I believe that Will is a much more intelligent character, even though he is quite young and doesn't have the experience that the governor or the captain has. However, you have to keep in mind that the governor doesn't have as much military experience as the admiral we'll see coming up, which is our next figure.
It's important to keep in consideration.
Indeed.
The next one we have is the admiral. You said this is a British admiral. Admiral, I believe, right?
Yes, this is Admiral Woodhouse. I believe this color scheme works much more better. It's much more intimidating, and it's a much better contrast against Captain Redbeard. He has the same red stubble and mustache that we see on the captain, although it's a different pattern. It's a much longer mustache and much more trimmed sideburns, while Captain Redbeard has a much more consistent stubble. We also have the same French uniform recolored in red. So it's not quite as unique in this case. However, I believe that the color scheme works a little bit better here.
And I believe it's the same hat as Governor Broadside, just turned back to the runway.
Correct. And the white plume does not stand out as much, so I have to subtract a little bit. I believe, however, you have to keep in mind this character is an admiral. He is one of the most high-ranking officials in anywhere in the Lego Pirates world. So he is the closest thing that the pirates have to a threat. He's very intelligent, very calculating. He has bases all over the Atlantic. So I feel like this character has to be an S. This character is an S.
Fair to me. One thing that's bothering me, I'm trying to see is I think if you take the facial hair aside, is that a normal smiley face underneath? But the hair seems to like have an illusion. It makes him look not quite as happy.
Yes, the mustache somewhat covers it. I believe that this character looks a little bit superior to the black facial stubble because you can make out the facial expression just slightly better. It's much more clearly the iconic two eyes and a smiley face, even if it's underneath the mustache.
So let's see what the audience believes.
Very well.
You have the result screen?
I do.
There we go.
Admiral Woodhouse is an F. 8 people say F.
Oh no.
This is why mob mentality and taking the consensus of the group is not necessarily a good idea. Democracy is not a sure thing. We have 6 Ds. This is astonishing. 2 Bs, 1 A, 1 S, no S plus. Now, I really admire the Admiral's work. He had his flawed methods. However, he was clearly one of the most intelligent men of his time. So, Admiral Woodhouse, I can't stand for this. F. S.
Not tolerate it. He deserves better. He's a worthy adversary. You have to respect your enemy.
Indeed. This is Captain Redbeard's most fierce opponent. I don't care what you say about the governor and him being first. This is clearly the most threatening character in all Lego Pirates. This is, dare I say it, we might be looking at an S+.
S+, all the way up there? That's your verdict.
Democracy has failed us. Time for communism. No, this is a monarchy.
Yes.
I am the king's advisor, and I am the scientific advisor. You cannot stand in my way.
Yes, this is a monarchy, a heavily influenced monarchy.
Very well. I am overriding F-, and we are going straight up to S+.
S+. Let's move him up there. Shit. Am I missing him?
It's to the far
Oh,
right.
there we go. I don't know why I couldn't see him. Up to S+. Do we put him? Here's a tough call, though. Which of the two factions? I still say
Behind.
Redbeard goes ahead of him.
Redbeard,
Yeah.
even though it is close, Captain Redbeard is clearly a little bit more better at improvisation than the Admiral is.
Interesting. In the S+ column, we have Pirate ahead of Imperial, but in the A, we have Imperial ahead of Pirate.
Yes.
Very neat.
Shall we proceed? S+. Very respectable opinion, Brick Danger. I appreciate your very insightful opinion.
As do
Correct
I.
opinion.
Correct
Shall
opinion.
we proceed?
Yep, on to the next one, which is another Brit.
This is just a standard Imperial soldier, British Redcoat, and this is a red variation of the Imperial uniform. So he has the red, yellow shoulder pads, black tricord hat, and the same facial pattern that we see throughout other pirates characters, the smiley face with the mustache and the vertical stubble. And I have to say, this character is definitely one of the most generic we see. However, I really like the aesthetic he presents. I like how happy and unintimidating this character looks, despite him being a member of the Imperial Guards.
Definitely agree with that assessment. I'm also thinking if a kid's going to play or anyone's going to play, we're going back to the basic pirate shipmate of the smiley face. I think they're more likely to put themselves in the shoes of the pirate than they are of the Imperial. So it has a little bit less of that value as far as like being like a vicarious figure to play through.
Very much. This character is a stooge, but a competent one. So even though he loves tea, I can see him liking tea. He looks like he has a bit of a rougher side, so I think he'd want something a little bit stronger than tea.
That's fair.
Now, for this character, he's very simple, but quite competent. Great enemy for the pirates. So I'd have to say B+, A-, just because of the sheer volume of these characters.
B+ to A-. That sounds fair to me. Let's see if the viewers agree. Brick Danger, you've called every single one happy.
Imperial Guard. I believe someone's rigging the polls.
Somebody is stacking it with Fs.
6 Ds, 4 Bs, and 1 A.
Where should we put that in?
I have to admit, despite how clearly erroneous this is, I'm willing to go down to a C. I'm doing a C+ for this character.
C+?
Indeed.
Sounds about fair. C+, let's take a look. And we'll bring them up. C+, you said?
Yes. Actually, put him at B. Put him at B.
B, yeah. I don't think we have a C+ category. So our first B, the lowest. Next figure, I believe we got to the Spaniards now.
Yes, we are on to our first Conquistador. So this character is one of the first to do green alongside Space Police 2. He has a gold medallion around his neck. It's sort of a red print on the necklace, white ascot, a white pattern, and of course the Conquistador helmet. It has a very Inquisition feel to it. It looks very hardy, very sturdy, and I believe just for the distinctiveness of this helmet alone, the distinctive facial hair, the goatee, the mustache, it is clearly much different than we saw from any of the others. So I have to say, even if this isn't the most iconic, this is a strong contender we're looking at. The colors pop. It is a direct contrast to the other pirates. And Clearly much more stylish than the other Imperials, even if it lacks the gold. So I'd say right here we're looking at a mid-A.
Mid-A. How many unique pieces are there that were made specifically for this figure? The face, the helmet, and the shirt, maybe, or any of them
Sorry?
recycled? How many unique pieces do we see that like the first appearances on this figure? Because the head, the helmet, and the torso, I think, could be.
Correct. All those appeared in this wave with the other conquistadors.
Very nice. So let's see what the audience has to say.
He doesn't look happy.
Doesn't look
Now,
that happy.
I have to agree. This character is the first to look sinister. I almost overlooked this, but this character has eyebrows, which gives him a much more intimidating feel, while the others have, if they do have eyebrows, they're much more neutral.
If you take away the facial hair, it's actually a normal smiley face underneath there. It's just the eyebrows, maybe the mustache that gives him a little bit of a sinister look.
Yes, and I believe that sinister looks for him, making him a much more threatening character. So, yeah. Shall we look at our results?
See what survey says today.
It doesn't appear that it made it on.
It's not in the poll?
No, I don't believe so. Which means we can improvise.
How can we improvise this one?
I believe for this character we have to give it. Let's see what chat says.
Everyone, shout out your answer in chat. What do you think this one should be? This one's not in the poll for some reason. We got a B. 1 vote B.
B is respectable.
Another vote for B.
3 Bs. Very well. B. It looks like we have a scientific consensus, and this is not an incorrect consensus for once. So I'd say high B.
High B sounds fair. And somebody revised their answer from C to B. So very high well. B, I think is fair to say. Let's move them up there. High B, so above the British?
I'd say so. This character is a leader, so he is much more competent.
Look at that. We got 2 in every category so far, going down the list. We'll put the Spaniard ahead of the Brit. It seems fair.
Only in this case.
Yeah. The next one we have, is it back to...
Another Conquistador.
Another Conquistador?
Now, we do not have this option available on our poll, so you'll have to shout out your answer. This one is a slightly different facial print. It is just a mustache. It kind of overlaps with a smile. It very much diminishes the aesthetic here. And it also has eyebrows, much more neutral. And in general, it's not a very threatening or appealing face. It looks very confused. However, the simplicity of the Conquistador helmet and the the colors on the torso pop, the blue against the red, I believe the torso raises this up. If it wasn't for the torso, I'd say this would be a D. However, as it is, I think it may be a C.
Seems like a fair assessment. The torso is definitely the only remarkable thing about it. We've seen the head, we've seen the helmet. It doesn't have a plume on the helmet. The leg's just in generic gray. So I don't think any more than a C. Hey, indeed. Red Dragon, thanks for joining us.
And what do you think of the enemies of the Lego Pirates? You don't think of the Spanish. You think of the French and the British. Therefore, I don't believe this character is remarkable. Even if I do believe this character has some good style.
Scario says the colors kind of clash in his opinion.
Yes, I can't disagree. The blue against the red, I like the detailing, but the colors don't work.
And should we have chat shout out their votes, or do we want to post it in there? Everyone shout out your vote for this. Shout out your vote in chat. What do you think you should be? Once again, ranging from F- all the way up to S+. Got 2 Bs for votes. Couple Cs. 2 Bs, 2 Cs. A non-happy vote. 1 A. 1A, 2 Bs, 2 Cs I'm seeing.
Very well.
A C from Scario, another C.
It looks like overwhelmingly it's B with some Cs.
And 1A to balance out the Cs. So yeah, I think it's fitting about in B.
Low B, bottom of the B.
Ugly suit. Okay. Lowest of the Bs.
I'm just sympathetic to the brown strap.
Yeah, that is a nice strap across his chest. Although, the one good thing about him, Brick Danger calls it ugly.
It is somewhat ugly.
Let's see who we have next. Next we have...
This character is the first mate Rummy, and he is the second in command of the Black Seas Barracuda, Captain Redbeard's ship. He has a blue shirt with a red and white undershirt, a very classic pirates look. So
nice belt.
a different face. This is a different face we see. It has the eye patch, the first character so far that we see with the eye patch. And the stubble, it doesn't have the same intimidating feel that the vertical lines on the mustache of Redbeard has. So this is clearly a much more affable character. Even if he has lost an eye, there's clearly some darker side to him. However, overall, I believe the colors work fairly well for this. A very 90s aesthetic, very simple facial features, good hair design. A brown helmet matches the belt very well. So I have to say this one's an A. A declarative A.
I think it's a very fair assessment. I especially like the eye patch on it because it's a generic, almost smiley face. It's not too obscured. There's a nice another one you can like live kind of like play vicariously through. With the eye patch is a nice touch, just to vary it up just a bit without ruining the simplicity too much.
Correct.
So we're thinking A. Everyone shout out your votes in chats. If you already did it, do it now again, just so I can get a fair poll. Everyone shout out your vote in chat. Where do you think it should go? What do we have on the poll?
It appears we're still getting distorted results because this is another reason you do not rely on democracy. People will stuff the ballots. So we have 7 Ds, which I find highly suspect. 6 S+, which is I still find somewhat suspect. But
there could be people re-voting that trying to change their vote that's doing a re-vote by accident, like a second vote.
We will revise that for the stream next week.
This is why it's so great we have an expert on of us to make sure that we correct any incorrect democracy.
Exactly. So 1 F minus, 1A, and 1B. Any input from chat?
Heavily stacked towards A of 1S even. So they're thinking it's even higher.
I believe we should put this at the top of A.
Top of A? That sounds fair to me.
For first mate Rummy, yes.
First mate Rummy, top of A. Even above, oh, wasn't moving.
I have to say, yes, this one goes ahead for Captain Rummy. First mate Rummy just has more style than the Admiral. Even if the Admiral has the gold, even if the General has the gold, I can't say that he looks better for it.
That seems fair. You always look better with an eye patch.
Very true.
Who do we have next? Let's take a look. Next we have... Oh, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yes.
This one's actually Captain Ironhook, correct? And we saw him in...
Captain Ironhook.
He went by another name. He actually made an appearance in LEGO Universe as Captain Jackknife, but I believe they were very similar, if not identical.
Interesting hypothesis. Yes, this is an old version of Captain Jackknife from LEGO Universe. He did receive an updated appearance in that game. So this one does have this one appeared alongside the Islanders. So I have to say he has the red beard, the eye patch. It looks very distinct. This guy's clearly survived on an island. Maybe he was marooned there. He has a knife built in. He has the same hook for a hand and the peg leg. So I have to say this one is not nearly as intimidating as I stand corrected. He is quite intimidating. However, he's not nearly as iconic or imposing as Captain Redbeard. So for Captain Ironhook, I'd say solid S.
Sounds fair to me. I wouldn't put him as high as Redbeard himself, especially because
No,
like there's
this
redundant
character has
heads.
been marooned. He's lost a few battles, but he's become stronger for it. So he is still a threat. So this one is high S.
High S sounds fair to me. What does chat think? I see
Chat
some
is
Bs.
incorrect as usual.
Oh, as usual, democracy has failed us. BBA.
Captain Ironhook, 6 Ds. I'm disregarding that. 1 F, disregarding that. 6 S, very respectable. 1 S, 1 A, 2 Bs, 2 Cs.
Brook Danger, what are you saying about in the chat? You keep saying not kid friendly. Am I missing something?
Let's move on, shall we?
Yeah.
Very well. I believe we can override the clear misconceptions of chat and put this at an S.
S sounds fair to me. Let's move him up to an S. How high up in the S are we thinking? High as King Kakuka?
Behind King Kakuka.
In between. That sounds like a nice place to put him, yeah.
Yes, King Kakuka, even though he is unfamiliar with pirate tactics, he's adapting. He's helping his islanders defend against all kinds of threats, both from pirates and Imperials. So he has much less technology to work with. So
he deserves some credit too as the leader of his faction.
very true. Therefore, I say Captain Ironhook is just behind King Kakuka.
It's fair to me.
Moment. I will bring up our last figure. Now, the last one we have is an Imperial, correct? The French Imperial.
This is the final one?
Yes.
Looks like so. The last one of the night. Well, afternoon, I should say.
Very well. He has the same. This was the first wave of the French soldiers with the blue coats and red facial hair, the black tricorn hat, and the yellow pauldrons. I have to say, the blue against the red facial hair looks very strong. And I have to say, I feel somewhat conflicted about this character. It's not nearly as eye-catching as some of the British Imperials. However, this is a nice contrast to everything else we've seen. So, in my expert opinion, I say this character is a low A, high B.
Low A, high B? What do you think, chat? Do you agree with that, or? S, B, low S, another S. And do we have a poll on this one, or just chat?
One moment.
Let's take a look. Brooke Dangerman, how many times you say B, it's going to count as one B.
Imperial Guard. 8F minus, disregard that. 6D, 4B, 1A, 2S. Now, this is surprising. I thought that due to how iconic this character was, apparently it's not as iconic as their Redcoat variants. Therefore, I'm inclined to give this a B.
B sounds fair to me. Let's set him in a B. And now the last question we have is where he should be in the Bs.
Very well.
At the back or further up? Maybe a step above?
You have to show us.
Oh, that's right. Switch over the tab.
Correct.
With that. So I just put him right here. maybe a step above the Conquistador there.
I'd
What do you
put
think?
him right behind the Red Imperial.
So right here.
I'd put the French behind the British in this case.
French behind the British. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
There we go.
Very well. I believe we have completed our Pirates tier list.
Let's look at the final results.
And we've seen a pyramid.
Definitely see two of the classic leaders up top. Another, the side faction leader, made it to S.
Correct. Now, as this scientifically backed tier list shows, the most intimidating matchup between the Pirates and the other factions is Captain Redbeard and his nemesis, the Admiral. So I believe that is a very fair. We also have the Islanders and
Captain Ironhook there.
Ironhook second. I believe that's very strong. So, and the rest followed down from there. So I believe that this is a very good poll. And do you have any other input, King John?
I guess my last observation is the Spaniards seem to fare very poorly in this. People don't seem to like them quite as much in this.
I feel like they were the least stylistically coherent. They didn't. The helmets popped. The helmets were an excellent addition,
It's
and
all
they
the helmets and the
contrast
mustache.
very well against the headpiece. Contrasts very well against everything else. However, it lacks what the others have. It does. The Conquistador line was not as popular. It didn't see as much attention or love. So I have to say the Spanish, it's not as coherent.
Yeah, eyebrows and a cool helmet's not enough to put you above the other ones we have.
If this wave came sooner, it received a redesign, I might be willing to say this could be up in an S. However, as it is, the Spanish Imperials, it's not a competition against the Pirates or the other Imperials.
Still, overall, the classic Pirates here for the Golden Age. Look at this, like nothing below a B. That's a very good record they have.
Very true. Most of the lower, we'll see some lower tiers once we reach the Western era. That's when LEGO begins moving away from its Golden Age principles and into way more wacky designs, which both is a good thing and a bad thing, which we will discuss in later brick tiers.
Awesome. And do we decide the theme for next week's episode? People are already asking.
Yes, next
shout out Indiana Jones.
We are not currently going to be doing licensed themes. If we do licensed themes, we will tackle them at a later date. Power Miners is a very interesting suggestion, as well as Rock Raiders. Space Police is an interesting suggestion. Perhaps all Space Police 3 characters and all modern Renaissance space themes back to back could be an interesting stream. However, for next week, we will be doing the Golden Age of Castle, which is through 1987 through the late 90s.
My personal favorite, so that should be a fun one.
Indeed. We will have a much longer stream for that because the Castle theme is very comprehensive. It has almost a dozen factions over the span of just one decade, so it is a very interesting theme to go over.
It should be a lot of fun. Scario, shout out one last bid for Power Miners, Rock Raiders, and Space Police. Definitely some we'll get with something, I think. Not too unlikely.
Indeed. I look forward to all of these streams with you, Your Majesty.
Awesome. As do I with you, Professor.
Very well. Is there anything else you wish to discuss before we close?
I think that's just about it. So once again, we'll be back every Sunday for our show here. Next week's going to be Castle, as we said, and it'll be the same sign Sundays at 2s, in addition to our other live show, Mock Hour, on Fridays at 6 p.m., I believe. If you want to updates in either one of these shows, make sure to join our Discord. Just ask in chat. We'll give you a link. But yeah, I hope to see you guys in the next show. Thanks for joining us today.
Until next time, play well.
Signing off.